Westplex 107.1 and Harry Styles, the guy that got mugged last month. Did you know about that, Shelley?
I did not.
Are you talking to your Nord again?
Actually, no, I was not, but I did not know about this.
Yeah, Valentine's Day, he got robbed and mugged at knife point. No,
that's no fun.
Well, I'm thinking to myself, now hold on a minute now. He's a big star, One Direction, former One Direction guy, big solo artist. I mean, he doesn't have security with him? I mean, you sort of scratch your head and stuff like that. So, I don't know. That's what he claims. He claims that a bunch of guys, hoods with hoods. You know how if you're a hood, you have to have a hoodie.
That's true.
Yeah.
Or if you're a Unabomber, you have to have a hoodie.
Right. That's because when you go to the bank, there's that sign that says no hoodies, no baseball caps, no sunglasses. So because if you have
it used to be no shirt and shoes. Now it's no hoodies, no baseball caps.
I don't think in the bank it was no.
Pull your pants up, the whole 9 yards.
I was in a place recently. I couldn't believe it. There was a sign on the wall that said, if your pants are sagging, we don't want your business.
Oh, really?
I swear. And I'm not going to say where it was, but I'm going like, man, how do you get away with that kind of stuff anymore? I mean, and I looked down at my pants. I thought to myself, ooh, I better pull them up a little bit. They're not quite totally on my waistline, I mean, they're sagging a little bit,
That's not what they mean, right?
I know what they're saying, but once again, how do you get away?
I don't blame them.
Well,
It's like, pull your pants up, man.
Who cares? I mean, like,
what are you, 5?
Now nobody dresses anymore. I mean, come on. You go to the airport. It looks like everybody just rolled out of bed. Some of the people are still in their pajamas.
I dress.
Yeah, but you're one of the few. Most people, I mean, it's interesting. You go back and you look at, like, every once in a while there'll be a picture, like, of a baseball game back in the 40s or the 50s, and all the men are in suits and ties and with hats on, and the women are all dressed up. I'm going, if you see somebody now like, if you go down to the Cardinals game and they got a suit and tie on, you're going like, okay, the guy's security, or he's some executive who,
you look
just
for one of those curly Q things out of his ear.
Yeah, exactly. Like
down the back of his neck.
Right, like he's like Secret Service guy or something like that, scoping out the crowd. Like nobody wears a suit and tie. Not even like the play-by-play guys anymore. They used to dress up in suit and tie. Now they're just like Joe Casual. And think about that.
Yeah, I do know.
Yeah. Boy, lots of stuff to talk about this morning.
We do have a lot of stuff to talk about.
Can I tell you? There's two things that hit me yesterday that really bothered me. And,
what's that?
Well, terrible tornado that hit in Tennessee and specifically Nashville did tremendous damage in the Nashville area and Nashville proper, actually in downtown Nashville. I mean, just really horrendous damage and loss of life and loss of property. And there was I'll tell you what, I'll talk about it next hour. There was a couple articles in the national press that I read that just were like, okay, this is stupid. I mean, all these people, and what do they write about? And I'll talk about it next hour. But lots of stuff to talk about. Super Tuesday, after spending $600 million on his campaign, Michael Bloomberg, he had a big win last night. You know what he won?
What?
American Samoa. Did you even know that American Samoa was voting for the president? I mean, I did not. They're American citizens. I think if you knocked down or if you divided the amount of money he spent by the number of votes he had, I mean, I think he could have just sent everybody like a check for a couple $100,000. You know what I mean? The people that voted for him, and bizarre stuff with that. And then the other thing is, nothing we'll talk about, but Elizabeth Warren. Massachusetts was one of the states in the Super Tuesday primary for the Democrats yesterday. Okay, she's from Massachusetts. Well, not really, but that's where she hangs her hat now. And she's the senator from Massachusetts. She came in third. How bad is that? That when your own home state won't vote for you? You know what I mean?
Three's a charm.
Well, I don't know about that. Third time, but when you come in third, that's not. I mean, that would be like Eric Greitens running for president, and in the Missouri primary, which is a week from yesterday, he came in like third. People go like, "Oh, don't know about this."
That's because he was punched out of office.
I still think he got screwed up. I think,
of course he did. He was a scapegoat.
Yeah. All that weird stuff. Well, anyway, lots of stuff to talk about. God, I had some weird things happen to me yesterday. Only weird things happen to me.
Does it involve LSD?
Yeah, I told you about that. I mean, no, but I have to tell you, I was shocked by something I got yesterday in the email. Shocked. And I subscribe to a lot of different business gurus and things like that. And the email I got, at first I thought it was a joke. It was like in the subject line, and then I read the email and thought to myself, man, this guy is serious. So anyway, we'll talk about that. I just mentioned Harry Styles getting robbed, right? Yeah, I did that, right?
Yeah, you did.
Do you wish you had that kind of money?
I wish I had more money than I do.
Really?
Money is not a motivator for me, but I would like more of it.
Yeah, I know that feeling. Okay,
yes.
We got to take a break. We got to pay some bills. I have to fix the computer here, and I have to hit this. And by the way, am I the only guy that when you update software, you cringe because you're going to be the guy that's going to find all the stupid bugs?
Yeah. You're probably that guy.
I've had that happen on KSLQ, and it's driving me crazy. They upgraded our software on the main computer for KSLQ, our sister station, and it's to the point where I want to call the guy back and go, hey, can you roll me back to the old version? It's just like the new one stinks. It's just locked up a couple times, and in a year we've had that system on the air. I've never had it happen. I've had it happen 3 times since they upgraded us last week. It's like, okay, and then you call, oh no, it's not the upgrade. Oh no, it must be your computer. Okay, so how come my computer was working great for a year, and then you upgrade the software, and then in 5 days it locks up 3 times? Explain that to me. Oh, must be your computer. You think?
Sure.
Well, definitive answer from Shelley. It's 6:26.
Well, it's like, no.
Westplex 107.1. Don't go breaking my heart.
Isn't that another song? Don't go breaking my heart.
That's Elton John and Kiki D way back when. Yeah, you remember that one. 6:36. Good morning. It's BS in the morning. Weather's coming up. We'll have the complete forecast from Jennifer
Wojcicki
in just one momento. Shelley's already given me trouble off the air about asking me about various things. And, I am the most transparent person in the world. You ask me a question, I give you an answer.
Are you serious?
I am the most transparent person in the world.
Okay. That's you. Transparency is number 1 in your book.
Right. Subject change.
I ask him a question. How you doing? Fine. How was your day today? Could be better. Well, what are you doing? Working. What are you going to do later? Work. Okay. Nice talk.
Hey, I give you all the answers, short and sweet, I can never make it as a politician. Go ahead and ask me those questions again. Go ahead and ask me this question again.
No, I will not.
No, just ask me the one question. I'll do the politician thing.
Okay, how's your day?
Shelley, I'm glad you asked because, it's always good to hear that people are interested in how your day is because, that's very important to us as American citizens that people are interested in how our days go because sometimes our days don't go well. But when people ask and show that concern for how their day's going, then that really shows that you are a caring person and a true American.
You're such a pettifogger.
How did I do with that one? Did that sound like something?
That was pretty verbose.
Did that sound like something some politician would say? Okay.
I'm glad you asked that. Let me just answer that.
I'm glad you asked that. Okay. Subject change. Okay. You know who Billie Eilish is?
I do.
Explain Billie Eilish to me. I don't get it. First off,
what don't you get?
Well, she won all these awards, and she sings like this. She has this voice where you can barely hear her, and she sort of sings like this. And I'm going like, I don't get it.
Well, then that's a problem with her studio because they could increase her.
It's just the way she sings. She sings like she's like whispering. Like I'm going to whisper.
Well, evidently that's a thing.
I don't.
I don't like whiny boy bands, but there's plenty of them making lots of money and earning awards.
I'm an open-minded guy when it comes to lots of different groups and solo artists and things like that. And she's just one I don't understand. I mean, is the music, I mean, as a couple of her songs, okay, great. But she's like doing the new Bond theme. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yeah, she's the new Bond singer and once again, it's to the point where I don't know about you, but like to me, I want a Bond song that like sort of moves a little bit. You know what I mean? But unfortunately, most of the Bond songs are sort of slow, sappy, dramatic ballads and things like that. And maybe they picked the right person for that. But I'm going like, okay, 4 years ago, who knew who she was? And all of a sudden it's like, and then not only that, I'm not the guy who criticized the way people dress, but do you see the way she dresses?
What's wrong with the way she dresses?
Let me put it this way. It looks like she's purposely trying to make herself look bad. I mean, she's not dressing like Britney Spears or like that. She looks like she's wearing trash cans. You know what I mean? I mean, everything she wears looks like it's like, almost like it's totally vertical. There's no curves to it. And I've read that she says, well, she's very conscious about her body, so she hides her body. Okay, well, I mean, there are other clothes you could wear that would make you look like, like some kind of a cartoon character, She
kind of reminds me of a goth.
Yeah, but even the goth people wear a little bit more form-fitting clothing than that. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's to the point where maybe she's doing exactly what she wanted to do. It's sort of like the deal with, remember Lady Gaga used to wear all the weird stuff. Remember one day she showed up at one of the award ceremony wearing pieces of meat. Remember that? She had like steaks all over her body.
Do. That was so silly.
It's like, okay, don't get that. But yet, yes, we're talking about it. So yes, we fell for it. We just walked right in. Can you believe Lady Gaga showed up in T-bone steaks? So it got the intended response that it wanted to. But I don't get the Billie Eilish thing. I really don't. And her latest song is like, it's to the point where, you and I both like up-tempo music, okay? And this station, we try hard to keep the tempo up. Matter of fact, Shelley's always complaining to me that I don't play her favorite song, and I keep saying too slow. It's 5 minutes.
But yet he plays other slow songs.
There's very few slow songs on this radio station. Very few. There's
not on this radio station, but KSOQ, you don't play my favorite song either.
Yeah, but once again, I mean, I'm a firm believer that when people are listening to the radio, especially during the day and in morning drive, you want to get, you want to get a little pep in your step. You want to have some music that, makes you feel sort of alive, and you're driving down the highway.
Your toes tap and
what? Yeah, I mean, not Billie Eilish like singing like this. Oh, well, Shelley.
You can play her later in the day.
Yeah, at midnight. I'm just
stop it. Everybody likes her. It's like Post Malone. Everybody likes him. I don't particularly care for him.
I thought of you yesterday. I heard an interview with him yesterday about how
his teeth.
No, his tattoo face. He said that he said he's always thought he was a very ugly looking guy. Shelley would agree with that. But anyway.
No, that's not what I said, ever.
Yeah, Shelley yesterday said, he's the ugliest guy I've ever seen. She said that.
That is not true.
I got the tape.
Would never call somebody ugly. Maybe unfortunate looking, but never ugly. And I never said that about him. I've only commented about his teeth.
Well, he said the reason he tats up his face is because he thinks it makes him look better. I'm like thinking like, okay, maybe to some people.
No, a nice set of teeth would make him look better.
Man, Shelley is just obsessed with that.
I am. It's.
Maybe he needs to get his teeth tattooed white, and then Shelley would be happy. I would. Yeah, okay.
I don't think that there's I think all them babies are going to have to come out.
Oh, man, listen to you.
I'm just saying.
It's almost like
I don't know what else.
It's almost like you're married to a dentist. You know what I mean?
I am not married to a dentist.
Is your husband a dentist? I know he's an FAA dude, but is he also like a dentist part time? There are people that do that as a hobby. Do you know that?
What? FAA or dentist?
They're in the dental stuff as a hobby.
Yeah.
I had a friend of mine that collected dental chairs and dental tools. I'm going like, I don't get that one. It's like,
yeah, I don't either.
It's just sort of weird, but hey, different strokes for different folks, right? Hey,
yes.
It's 6. Here, hold on. Let me do the time is Billie Eilish. It's 6:44. Westplex 107.1. I don't know what I'm doing. You there, Shelley?
I'm here, Brad.
I got messed up here. Hold on a minute. Had a little bit of an issue here. Hold on.
You have an issue?
I do have an issue every morning.
What's your issue? Me?
I woke up. That's my issue. 6:51.
You know what? You need to take that back.
What's that?
Oh, I woke up. That's my issue.
Oh, man, I had a great night.
Any day you can sit there and put your feet on the ground and all your parts work, and you're looking down at the flowers as opposed to up at the roots. It's a good damn day.
I had a great night's sleep. Oh, man, I'm telling you. I have got what I call the USS. And you know what? Everybody's into mattresses and stuff like that now. Man, I'm going to go public with this, and people are just I'm just going to make $1 gazillion off of this. Oh, my God, it's so good. You know what the USS stands for, don't you? Ultimate Sleep Surface. That's what I have. I have the Ultimate Sleep Surface.
Did you get a purple?
No.
A purple bed?
No.
I don't understand that.
What do you mean you don't have that? Purple?
Yeah, the purple bed.
Yeah. What about it?
What is that?
It's just, one of those, it's everything's like memory foam now and stuff like that, all that kind of stuff. It started with the Select Comfort where, hey, if and what a great ad campaign.
I want one of those. I want one of those that is separate, it's like 2 twin beds.
Yeah.
And then and then they go up and down.
Yeah. Yeah, one of those things.
Yeah, that's what I want. Okay. An extra ploofy. So I wonder if the sleep number beds, if the number is low, is it hard?
No, the higher you go, the harder it is. The lower go, the softer it is. That's how it works. Yep.
Are you sure?
Positive. Yeah. Because I have on my USS, I've got that calibrated, and the sleep. Here's the thing,
you're one of those high numbers, aren't you?
On the Select Comforts. You know what I mean? The highest it goes 100. On the USS, it goes to 1,000. And I'm at about 700 right now. So
I get it.
Yeah, if you want that wimpy old bed, get one of those regular beds. If you want the super bed, like the Ultimate Sleep Service like I have, you get what I have. If I told you what the USS was, you wouldn't believe me.
Oh, I would.
No, you wouldn't.
I don't know if everybody else would,
no, you
but
wouldn't
I would.
You wouldn't even believe me. You wouldn't even believe me, I'm telling you. 6:54, it's BS in the Morning. Our website is bsinthemorning.show. She's Brad. I'm Shelley. Lots of stuff to talk about this morning. Super Tuesday was yesterday. Joe Biden, once again, he's up on stage. This guy, I'm telling you, it's almost to the point where it's like, how much material can he give the comedians? He's got on one side, he's got his wife, and the other side, he's got his younger sister, and they're standing on the stage next to him, and he's celebrating that he won all these races last night in the Super Tuesday election, and he introduces his wife as his little sister, and his little sister as his wife.
Did he do that on purpose?
No, he reaches around and grabs his wife and introduces her to the crowd as his little sister, and then he reaches, because they're on either sides of him, like his wife is on the right side of him, his right, and his sister's on his left side, and he reaches around first and introduces his wife as his little sister, and then he reaches around to his left and introduces his little sister as his wife, and then one of them says like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I got that backwards." I'm going like, man, how would you like to be married to that guy? I mean, he'll get introduced.
Isn't his wife the one that went over and stop that heckler?
Oh yeah, she's a pit bull. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. She's a.
And I swear, the whole hairy leg thing. I swear you told me that was.
No. That was Joe Biden, and he was telling that because
I didn't. I actually thought it would sound more like Bernie Sanders.
No, he was telling that because of the fact he used to work as a kid. He was a lifeguard at a swimming pool. And,
I know why he was saying it, but I actually thought that.
No. Can you imagine Bernie Sanders being a lifeguard? Oh, you're drowning? Well, you know what? There's too many people in the country anyway. You're just going to have to just go underwater. We won't need you anymore.
That's not what he would do.
Yes, he would.
No, it's not.
Yeah, he would. That's exactly what he'd say. Just like that. Can you, everybody does the impressions of the president. Can you imagine Bernie Sanders as president and 4 years of hearing that New York, Vermont, mixed accent all the time? God, it just drives me nuts. And I don't care if it's not him, it's just anybody. I do not, and I shouldn't say this sounds very prejudicial, but that New York sort of, that dumb sounding, hey, I'm from the Bronx, you know what I mean? It almost sounded like Arnold Schwarzenegger, didn't it? No, but it just sort of drives me nuts. Okay, you and I both got sent the articles by Billie Eilish, by the smartest woman in the world, and it talks about the fact that she doesn't want anybody to know what her body looks like. Yeah. Okay, whatever. Why isn't you just wear it?
And there are people that are identifying with that.
Okay, I read an article. This is pretty funny, how things change, right? I read an article about this woman who, shall we say, has a ample butt, okay? She's got a big butt, okay?
Okay,
And she talks about how there was a time in her life when her girlfriends made fun of her because she had a big butt, and now her girlfriends want to know what exercise she does to make her butt big. It's like talking about...
It's called a Brazilian butt lift.
Well, talking about a 180. And when you think about that, it's the whole thing with the, what was one of the lines that like women used as a joke, okay? Think about it for a minute. I mean, how many times have I heard this through the years? A woman would put on a pair of pants and she would say...
Do these make my butt look fat?
Exactly. And that used to be a bad thing, right? It used to be to the point where it's like, oh, does this make my butt look big? Now it's to the point where that's what you want, right?
Well, I know that things changed once Jennifer Lopez came on the scene and the Kardashians and it's just... Things change.
I get
it. Things are cyclical.
I remember...
there was a time when large women were considered exotic and beautiful.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's because... And you know the reason for that, don't you?
I don't.
They had food and they ate. No, seriously.
Oh, the reason that they were... buxom and
because
voluptuous.
Because way back when, like in some of the when in some of the countries, like in England, where times were tight, the common folk didn't have enough food, so they were very skinny and emaciated, and the royalty, they had tons of food and they ate and ate and ate and ate and ate. So it was what's the term for it? There was a guy voluptuous. What's the term for that? It's a guy's name. I'll remember it. Anyway,
it's a guy's name.
Yeah, it's he painted. He painted pictures of all these royal women in the nude, and they were all, shall we say, Rubenesque. He was Ruben, and that was the artist, and that's a term if you call a woman she has a Rubenesque figure, which means now today she would be like a BBW or something like that. But back in the day, that's what you wanted. I mean, how things have gone the exact opposite way back in the day, because that showed that you were of stature and you had food and you could eat and you put on weight and you were shall we say, larger than most women, and that was to the point where that was advantageous because of the fact that you showed that you were you had money and you could afford food, whereas the common folk, they were skinny little runts because they couldn't afford food. They didn't get it. They just got subsistence enough to keep them, living. And sometimes that didn't even work. That's the way it was.
Well, all I know is that people my size used to be considered beautiful.
Rubenesque.
I'll take it.
We got to take a break at 7 o'clock. Westplex 107.1. Boop, 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 boop. Can you do that?
I actually can.
You're talking to your Nord again.
No, I'm not.
Oh, okay.
I just didn't pick up my microphone.
Okay, 7:07, good morning. It's BS in the Morning. I am Shelley. She is Brad. Our website is bsinthemorning.show. We are broadcasting live from the Allen's Tree Service studio. Allen's Tree Service, they are the tree experts. You know, you saw what happened with some of the storms. Trees everywhere, trees on top of cars, trees on top of houses. You know, in a tornado, there's not a lot you can do about that. But in your average storm, there's a lot you can do to prevent that. That Allen's Tree Service people can come out, tell you which trees are at risk of ending up on top of your car, through your roof, or just, you know, trim it up, make it look nice, or, you know, worst case scenario, cut it down if it's diseased and, you know, even dead. They can take care of it. Allen's Tree Service, they are great family operated, family run operation, and you will like them and they will do good work for you. Right, Shelley?
That's absolutely correct.
Okay. I read this article yesterday. I read 2 different articles from 2 different sources about the tornado in Nashville when things were unfolding yesterday morning and early in the afternoon. Terrible tornado through Tennessee and in Nashville area. And there's 2 articles I'm reading, and all they are is reactions of the country music stars about the tornado. And every last one of them is like, we talked to Dolly Parton, and Dolly Parton, oh, this is terrible. And then, you know, and then they have like a Twitter, a screenshot of their Twitter feed, you know, hearts and prayers to all the people who've been impacted. And then the Carrie Underwood one where she comes on and she says, I was out of town when it happened, but my husband and our kids were safe because they went to the safety of our safe room. And I'm going like, I don't want to hear that. You know, I mean, you know, I get it. It's Nashville where all the country stars live. I mean, make the story be about the people who are impacted, about the unfortunate people that lost their houses and people who were unfortunately killed in their sleep and the airport that was hit and, you know, and millions and millions and millions of dollars worth of damaged aircraft and businesses that were destroyed. Not about country stars and about how, oh, hearts and prayers go out to all our fans. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I do know what you're saying.
I just thought it was like, I mean, maybe a week after that, I'm going like, okay, I get it. You know, the country stars are pulling together. Hey, we got to rebuild Nashville and things are going to be better. And everybody, we got to, you know, pull together. And, you know, yeah, this town was really growing and we've had our setback and we're moving forward again. Not like 2 hours later, you know, when, you know, people are still digging out of their you know, and they're still, unfortunately, finding injured people in homes and businesses and stuff like that. Man, I just thought,
yes,
give me a break, you know. It
was pretty horrible.
Well, it's the celebrity culture that, you know, you can't ask the guy that just had his house destroyed how he feels. You got to ask, you know, John Rich of Big and Rich, you know, what do you think about the storm? Well, I wasn't in town, but if I would have been in town, you know, it's like, okay, enough. I'm tired of that. Okay, that's one. I subscribe to a bunch of different guys. I read, you know, things, business gurus and things like that. I won't say who the guy's name was, but this is a guy who, if you are into social media, and chances are you've heard of this person, and I got an email from him, and he's always telling me, hey, this is what I did to grow my business, and, you know, he's giving you little tips and things like that. So I got this one yesterday, and I read the title of it, and the title is How I Make Money, or something to the effect, on LSD. And I thought to myself, okay, LSD's got to stand for something not like what we think it's like, not like the drug. It's got to stand for something like, you know, little stupid, you know, I mean, you know what I mean? Like, haha. So
this isn't a Timothy Leary.
Right, exactly. Thing. Okay, so I read the email, and it's exactly what he's talking about. He's talking about the fact that, let me see if I can find it, so I can find the article here. He's talking about he takes LSD once a week because, here it is right there. It says, Dear Brad, I do LSD, also known as acid, every single week because I believe that founders that do LSD have a huge advantage over everybody else. In my experience, it's true. The best business ideas I've ever had, the ones that have brought in millions of dollars, were ideas I came up with while I was on LSD. And I'm thinking to myself, is this guy for real?
Who would admit that?
That's what I'm saying. I'm going like,
how is that a selling point, number one? Number two, isn't that like guilty by admission?
Well, I'm thinking to myself, okay, and this guy is probably maybe late 20s, early 30s. I'm thinking to myself, this guy
He doesn't even know what LSD is.
Well, no, he does know what LSD
12.
is, but he's in the wrong generation. You know what I mean? He missed it by like 50 years. You know what I mean? He should have been hanging out with Timothy Leary and all the other crazy weirdos that were up on, and I'm going. I kept reading. I'm thinking to myself, okay, this guy has got to be kidding. This has to be like a April Fool's joke. And he was dead serious. And essentially, he's even got a link to the FDA page on there. It talks about, it's a class 1 or schedule 1 drug and blah, 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 blah. And I'm going like, okay, I don't get it. So, now I'm thinking to myself, okay, maybe I do get it. Today, where, the medical marijuana places and the recreational marijuana places are opening in Illinois. 10 years from now, you'll have some legislator who'll be in the Missouri Senate. I believe that everyone should be able to use recreational LSD. And matter of fact, I use it once a week, and whoa, is it just do things for me. And I think it should be doing things for you because your mind's going to grow and you're going to think about things and it's going to be wonderful. Recreational LSD. Cool.
So I'm gathering you don't like it.
I went through, I hate to say this. I went through that era. And I had friends of mine that did LSD. I worked with guys in the radio business that did LSD. And to me, it was a scourge. I mean, these people that did it were just whacked out of their head. And to the point where talking about, I had one guy I work with used to do it like, fairly often and drive around. You go, oh, wow, it's so cool. The lights on the highways. Oh, the cars going by. Oh, I'm going like, holy crap. I hope you're not driving near me.
I could see the veins, the blood pumping through your veins.
I couldn't. And this is a guy who is, and what's interesting is this is a guy who one of the things he shows you how to do is to get money from investors to grow your business. Okay? Now, I'd be thinking to myself,
do you think that he just ruined his reputation?
Well, I don't know. There's probably guys out there with money going like, oh man, this guy's in LSD.
If he's as big as you say he is, he's got handlers. His handlers should have talked him out of that.
The guy we see from time to time, the guy who runs he's the PR guy for the SCAD, St. Charles County Ambulance District, Kyle Gaines, okay? Talk to anybody. Talk to your daughter. Your daughter was a paramedic in the city. She could probably tell you stories about the whacked out people that she had to deal with who are, high on this or high on that. You know what I mean? The meth.
It's not just in the city. It's in the county as well. And in St. Charles.
No, I said that's why I talked to Kyle Gaines. These people that are whacked out on, on opioids and, and all sorts. I'll never understand it. And I'm not Mr. I'm not Mr. Prude, I've done some, I'm not Mr. I would never do that. I do some weird stuff, but I'm telling you, as a young guy working for the police department for 3.5 years, I saw enough stuff that just to the point where I'm going like, man, I'm never doing that. Never driving drunk, never getting stoned, I couldn't believe it. It just drove me crazy.
So are you going to still receive his emails?
I won't pay a word of attention to him from now on. I'm thinking, I just couldn't believe it. Am I overreacting or what?
No, you're not. Everybody's has had a misspent youth, but when you are, supposed to be a business coach, telling your people to drop acid is probably not one of the best pieces of advice you could give.
That's what I thought. I'm thinking to myself.
I don't agree.
I don't know if that's the best advice. But yet, and the crazy thing about it is, it's like, people have different reactions at different things, and not only that is that, I guess the thing that I've always sort of been, sort of hypersensitive to with illegal drugs is how do you know what you're getting? How do you know it hasn't been cut with, rat poison or whatever? You know what I mean? Because it's not like these guys are, doing this in the lab. And it always cracked me up when you'd read about, the meth guys. The guy was cooking meth in the trunk of his car. I'm going like, oh, wow, real quality control there. I mean, he's got everything all just perfect in the trunk of his car, or like in the, they're cooking meth in their kitchen sink. And like, okay, I bet you if the health department came in, they'd find out that place was just spotless and everything was just nice and clean. And
once meth gets cooked in a house, the house has to be gutted.
It just, I don't get it, I mean,
because it just sits there and soaks in the walls.
I don't understand why people purposely destroy their lives and then, they sort of like, I can't believe what happened to me. Yeah, you can,
Well, I've smoked my entire life.
I know, and what do I say all the time? My oldest son smokes. I give him grief about that all the time.
Well, I quit smoking on January 1st.
Yeah, but you vape now.
I'm sorry?
You vape now.
Yeah, I vape now.
Just as bad.
Whatever. Anyway, I've gained like 25 pounds. I'm ready to go back to smoking and get this weight off me.
No, here's what you should do. You should drop LSD. It'll make I'll send you this guy's email and you can call him up. Hey man, is that LSD stuff that make me lose weight? I'm being facetious, of course, but I don't get it. Okay, time to take a break. I've gone on my soapbox long enough and people I mean please tell me, there's got to be somebody, I know you agree with me, and most of the time sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. There's got to be people out there who hear me told the story about the business coach telling you to drop LSD once a week, will make you a better business person, going like, okay, Brad's stupid, but I agree with him this time. That's pretty bizarre, right?
It is. Yeah, I've lost all credibility in this dude, and I don't even know who he is.
Yep, 719. Westplex 107.1. It is up all night to get lucky. 7:23. It is BS in the Morning. I am Shelley. She is Brad. Our show is bsinthemorning.show. That's our website. The station website is westplex1071.com. You know who James Brown is, right?
I do.
Okay. Do you know about this controversy with him? About the fact that there has been reports through the years that he didn't really die. He was murdered in his hospital bed. Do you know about this?
I did not.
There's a reporter for CNN who has done work on this. His name is Thomas Lake, and he has chased this doggedly for years. And the more you get into this, it is really bizarre. And this guy this is not some conspiracy theorist. This is a guy who has documented evidence that there is some kind of weirdness that went on with his death. I think he died, James Brown, in 2006, 2007, something like that. And this is probably the most bizarre part of it is that finally the district attorney in Atlanta is somewhat agreeing with him. And they're talking about exhuming James Brown's body, but there's a controversy in the fact that they don't know exactly, they're not 100% sure where his body is. They claim that he is buried in a crypt on the property of one of his daughters, I believe, but yet there are other people that say that no, he's not there. He was never there. There's just an empty crypt. And the reason they're trying to exhume his body is that he went into the hospital on Christmas Eve or 2 days before Christmas and had a mild heart attack and then mysteriously died on late Christmas Eve night, early Christmas morning. And there were nurses that claimed that people came into his room unauthorized and they injected stuff into his IV tubes and he died. And his daughter did not want to have an autopsy, and they claim that one of the nurses, this is the claim, one of the nurses was so upset about the fact that what had happened that she drew blood from his body after he was dead and gave it to one of his associates and said, go have the blood done, go get the toxicology test on blood, you'll see that he was murdered.
So what did that person do with it?
Supposedly still has it. It's a
I hope it's in the freezer.
Well, it's a bizarre story in the respect that, and the reason that, and there was another guy that claimed to have know about this, and then he was mysteriously murdered, and no charges were ever brought against him. They had no idea who killed him. I mean, it's just really weird stuff. And like I said, it's come to a head where supposedly they're going to exhume the body, but they're not exactly sure where the body is. So, and part of it has to do with the fact that the reason they said that he was murdered is because there were people that were owed money, and there were people that stood to benefit from the fact that that he would that they had some kind of interest in his business, that they would end up with his business, and just weird stuff. But once again, you read these articles, and they're very lengthy. If you just go, matter of fact, if you search CNN, Thomas Lake, James Brown, you'll see this. As a matter of fact, I'm looking at it right now, and there's 3 parts, and it says it talks about there's this one lady that he knows, and here's how the article starts out. She says James Brown raped her. She also says someone murdered him, and others share Jackie Hollander's suspicion. 12 years after Brown's death, nearly a dozen people who knew him are calling for an autopsy or a criminal investigation. So.
Well, I think they did that to I think Marilyn Monroe was murdered too.
Yeah, well, there are people that agree with you on that as well too.
Yep.
I mean, it's one of those things. Things. But of course, you know what? You say that name now to, like if you said to your daughter, would she know who Marilyn Monroe is?
Absolutely.
Okay. It's curious. I wonder.
To me, Marilyn Monroe is the sexiest woman on the planet.
You're going to laugh when I tell you this, or maybe you won't laugh when I tell you this. It's funny you should bring this up. I said this yesterday. I found, to me, the most beautiful woman in the world.
And who is that?
I can't even.
Thank you, Brad. You're so sweet.
I can't even pronounce her name.
Oh, okay.
She's Russian.
Of course she is.
Yes, and she's a singer with Leonid and Friends.
Okay.
You don't even know who Leonid and Friends are, do you?
I have no idea. Oh, is that the group that sits there and
it's the cover
they're really
group.
Good, but they play different locations?
No, they're a bunch of Russians.
Do you know who I'm talking about?
No, they're Russians. They're in Moscow, and they do all these covers of Chicago songs and Earth, Wind and Fire and things like that.
But they don't play in the same place.
Yeah, well, some of them are in. It's all recorded. It looks like it's recorded at one time, but it's not. It's recorded in sessions and it's videoed. And the guy's name is Leonid, whatever the heck his name is. And they put these videos up, and they are incredible musicians. And there's this one lady, I can't even pronounce her name. It's like, or something like that, And she, to me, is the most beautiful woman I've ever seen in my life.
Okay. Well, I'll have to look up,
and the interesting,
and see if I can find out who she is.
And the interesting thing is, most of these guys who are these musicians, who are these Russian guys, are not the best looking dudes. They look like they sort of like had a rough
Good
life.
Russian men in sensible shoes.
Well, they look like they've had a rough life as, it's tough to be an American
agents.
Well, no, it's tough to be an American musician, but I can imagine it's even tougher to be a Russian musician. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I can imagine.
It looks like these guys have had a tough life. Man, are they good. Okay, it's 7:29. Westplex 107.1. Guess it's really never over. 7:35. Good morning. It's BS in the morning. I am Brad. She is Shelley. Ksenia Buzina. Ksenia. Ksenia Buzina. Buzina. I think she's the most beautiful woman in the world. I found her. She's with Leonid and Friends. If you don't know what we're talking about, this group of Russian musicians who cover all this old Chicago music and Earth, Wind and Fire, and it's all guys, and they're just incredible musicians. And they're Russian. And one guy, and it's funny, they're not all the guys are in the same studio at the same time. There's a couple guys from like Kiev in the Ukraine. And anyway, they cover all this Chicago music, and they do it note for note, to the point where if you've got like some of the old Earth, Wind and Fire albums and some of the songs they do, there's even guys who have taken the videos, and they've compared, like, the original to the Leonided Friends, and it's just incredible. Anyway, the lady she's the only lady in the group. She's not in all the videos, but I think she's just, and first off, she's incredibly talented, and she's incredibly beautiful, and I am totally smitten.
Well, if she's wealthy, then you need to go meet her.
No, I don't think so. No, I don't think so. I don't think that's the case. And by the way,
what?
I have to admit that I've been under the weather for
2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks.
Maybe 3.
Yeah, no, 2 weeks. And I'm finally I'm going to come clean, and I hope everybody, maybe this will be like a Rush Limbaugh moment for me, but my whole problem is,
oh my goodness. You had to turn it into a joke. We're all sitting here thinking, oh my gosh, what is wrong with this man?
I had prostate problems that were driving me nuts.
That had to be on purpose.
What had to
It's kind of brilliant.
Am I the only one that finds that hilarious?
I find it hilarious.
It's Larry King as he's advertising. That is a line from an ad. The first time I heard the ad about 2 weeks ago, I about drove off the road. I'm thinking to myself, okay, that's either the biggest joke in the world or nobody realizes what he just said, right? It's just, and it's a product called Prostagenics. And I kept hearing the ad on national radio. It was national ads, and I called in a favor to a friend of mine that works in L.A. And I actually, a lady that I know that works for one of the radio companies, and she turned me on to this guy who, ironically, I already knew. And she says, oh, he can find the commercial for you. And sure enough, like in 5 minutes, I got it in my email box. I'm going like, thank you, Darren. The whole commercial is just a riot. Oh, okay. What were we going to talk about again? I'm off track. I never get off track.
Well, Westplex News and Drew loves Bernie.
Oh, I got to talk to my son. Yeah, it was so weird. You and I ran into him Monday at Mickey D's.
It was so much fun.
Oh, he's talking to us about how Bernie's going to save everything, and Bernie's going to pay off my daughter's college loan, and Bernie's going to this, and Bernie's going to do that, and oh my God. It's one of those things where, and I'm not making fun of Bernie. Well, maybe I am. But, I mean, I think that the problem that I have, and I've been there myself, is that when I have said to myself, okay, I've got myself into a bad situation, there's nobody going to get me out of this but me. It's going to be me. If I'm going to turn things around, it's going to be me. And it's just like I told you, the one guy that I've attended a couple of his seminars, his webinars online, Billy Jean Shaw, okay? Remember, he's got 13 rules, which is interesting. But he starts off with rule 0. So there's rule 0 and there's rule 1. And rule 1 is everything is your fault. Essentially, he says, take command of your life and don't point fingers saying, well, the reason I'm like this is because of my mom and dad, or the neighbor down the street, or my boss yells at me, or
Oh my gosh! If you still have mommy and daddy issues when you're in your 20s, you either need to get therapy or get over it.
Well, anyway, so that's my son. Whoa.
I also like the one where he says, so people have commented on my cussing, and that's just who I am. So if you don't like my cussing, then maybe this isn't the program for you.
But, I have to be honest with you. I mean, we are broadcasters, and if we say some of the things that are said, all the time now on the radio, we wouldn't have a license anymore. We would have our license taken away from us.
That is true.
And I guess...
Which is why I thought it was such a big step for you to let me talk on the air live.
I guess it still sort of bothers me when I'm in, a group of people and somebody just starts like really, I mean, and this is Gary V. Gary V, if you know who Gary Vaynerchuk is, big social media guy, I mean, every third word out of his mouth is the F-bomb. Same thing with, Billie Jean, same thing. And I'm thinking to myself,
who am I to judge?
Yeah, listen to you. One of those things.
I know, right?
Yeah,
People
one of those things.
People actually say, You're on the air?
Well, there's
Brad let you on the air? Yes, he did.
There's a filter that just, I don't know what it is. It's to the point where you just develop it to the point where you just don't say certain things when the microphone's turned on. Although there's a rule, and I'm just going to say something. You said something earlier off the air, and you dropped a couple F-bombs, and I was almost going to correct you. I was going to say, Shelley, remember the first word, the first rule of working in a studio: never know when the mics are hot. You know, I mean, there was one the other day where one of the sports guys, what was it, in Baltimore, and he thought the microphones were off, and he called one of the guys, I think it was one of the guys on one of the football teams. He called him an effing midget. You know, and it went out on the air, and really, really loud went out over the air on top of an advertiser.
Does he still have his job?
No, he lost it. I think they suspended him, but I think they finally fired him. But not only did he say it, they thought they were off the air and they were in commercials, but he said it right over the top of a car dealer's commercial. And one of the managers of the car dealers heard it and was really ticked because of the fact it was right over the top of his commercial, you know, and not only that, you know, it was the F-bomb, and not only that, he was making fun. You can't say midget anymore. That's one of those things you have to say little people. You know, you can't say, you know, there's certain things that you used to be able to say, like he's a midget. You can't say that anymore.
So he's an
yeah. Well, you know, I mean, one of those things. I mean, it's like
little person. He's an effing little person.
Yes, you can't say. And he was talking about one of the football players. I can't remember, one of the quarterbacks. It was one of these sports guys. You know, I mean, geez Louise, and they're not all the same. But man, I've dealt with so many of the sports guys. They just want to walk into the studio, stick their feet up on the table, talk sports, you know, and the clock, if they're off. Spit, smoke, you know, drink a couple brewskis and go home and go, oh man, that was a tough job today. I really worked hard, you know, that kind of a thing.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Working over a hot mic.
Yeah, slaving over a hot microphone. That's what we do every day, just for you. So anyway, we got to take a break. It is 7:44. Westplex 107.1 Trust Fund, baby. That's definitely not what I am. 7:53. It is BS in the Morning. She is Brad. I'm Shelley. Website is bsinthemorning.show. Lots of things going on. Super Tuesday was yesterday. Joe Biden did fairly well. Michael Bloomberg did horribly. I was reading somewhere that if you calculated the amount of money he spent and divided that by the number of delegates he got, he paid like, was it $34 million per delegate?
Wow.
It's not the best deal he's ever done, right? He would have done just better. Everybody just sending everybody a check in the mail for $100. Hey, vote for me. Although, is that illegal? Can you do that?
I don't know, but I'm thinking about going up to the candidates and saying, I hear you on other stations. Why don't you help support local radio?
Yeah, well, you know how that is they're all buying TV. And, you know, and you and I know this. I mean, the amount of people that watch broadcast TV every year goes down and down and down and down and down. And radio still does very well. 93% of the adult population listens to radio at least once a week. Television is like someplace in the 70s now, and it keeps dropping. So anyway, 7:55, it's BS in the Morning. I am B, she is S. We have a new service that's up and running. It's sort of in beta right now if you'd want to check it out. It's called westplex.news. And what it is if you're familiar with what the Drudge Report is, that's what's called an aggregation site, where essentially what they're doing is they're just taking all sorts of different feeds from various news organizations, and they're picking out the ones that they think are the most newsworthy, and they put it up on the site. And when you go to the site, it's just a bunch of links. You just click on it, and it'll take you actually to that complete article. So we have that up right now, and this is for the Westplex area, St. Charles County, the Old Golden Triangle, St. Peter, St. Charles, O'Fallon, Lake St. Louis, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Westplex.news. Yes, it's a .news. So Westplex.news. You can check it out.
And it's a really good site, everyone, if you want the local news.
Well, it's all local stuff. Now, some of it,
yeah, it is.
Some of it's like sort of, you know, because it's from like the county, St. Charles County, and you know, some of it's sort of puff pieces. Hey, look what we're doing. Aren't we great? You know, and I'm not making fun of them, but, you know, that's what they do. They tell you how great it is to live in St. Charles County, and they tell you how lucky you are to live in O'Fallon, and you know, and how lucky you are that you don't live somewhere else, right?
Well, that is true. O'Fallon has actually won some. So has Wentzville, actually.
Yeah.
The best cities to live in across the United States.
You know my motto, though.
I would never be a part of a club that would have me as a member.
I would never want to live in a city that would have me as a resident, right?
Same difference.
I would diminish, like that would be like me moving to Ladue, and overnight the property values would just fall into the toilet. People go, oh my God.
Whatever, Brad.
He moved here?
Seriously, just stop it. I'm just blah, 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 blah. That's what I hear.
Everybody would move out. See, but that was what I'd do. See, if I was smart, that's what I'd do is I'd announce to everybody that I'm going to move in. Then I'd buy up all their houses because they put them on the market for like pennies on the dollar. And then I would say, oh, just kidding. And then I'd turn around and sell the houses and make a ton of money, right?
That would work.
That would work. Okay, going to take our last break. And as soon as I do this with the computer, which is being a little bit cantankerous this morning. And
Surely not.
Yes, don't call me Shirley. 7:57. Westplex 107.1. Shelley, you were talking about earlier about how Joe Biden's wife is a great protector. And I just saw this article last night. Well, last night. These anti-dairy people, remember, what was it, 2 weeks ago or last week, where the anti-dairy people stormed the stage with Bernie when he was in Las Vegas, and they poured,
I think so, yes.
They poured strawberry milk over their heads. They took their tops off. They were topless, and they poured strawberry milk over their heads.
How ridiculous was that? Crying out loud.
Protesting milk. Last night, I just saw this. Last night, Let Dairy Die. That's the name of the protest group. They stormed the stage at Joe Biden's victory speech after the former vice president claimed wins in 8 Super Tuesday states. 2 female protesters rushed the stage shouting, "Let Dairy Die." They held protesters reading the same and showing the image of a cow. Dr. Jill Biden and Biden's sister Valerie attempted to block the protesters from touching the former vice president. And there's pretty interesting video of these ladies running on the stage, and his wife and sister are like blocking him from. I mean, does that guy have some ladies to protect him or what?
Yes, he does.
He's got a stand-up wife who's a tough lady, and he's got a stand-up sister. I mean, what every guy
that he can't keep straight.
Yeah, he can't. Earlier in the night, he introduced his wife as his sister and his sister as his wife, which was sort of funny. But I mean, explain to me this anti-dairy movement. Do you get this?
I don't. No, I don't. Everybody knows you're supposed to have milk.
Well, I don't.
Absolutely, you're supposed to have milk. You are.
Here's the thing that probably bothers me about this is, how would you like to be? And Joe Biden, because he's an ex-vice president, still has Secret Service detail. I'm pretty sure he does. I know the president does, but I'm pretty sure the ex-vice president does as well, too. How would you like to be on that security detail to protect him because of the fact that, especially if these are women, and this is women who keep, storming the stages, these anti-milk protesters. And because if you're like one of the security guys, you got to be careful, because you can't just whack them and knock them down. You know what I mean? Because, oh, look what that guy did to that woman. He beat her up. You know what I'm saying? But yet, by the same token, you don't know what these people are doing. I mean, just because it's a woman doesn't mean that she couldn't do bodily harm to Biden or one of the other candidates, right?
That's true.
I mean, it's mainly men who do the nasty stuff, but there's always instances of a woman.
A femme fatale.
Well, remember, was it the gal? Was it Squeaky Fromm? Wasn't that the gal's name that tried to kill President Ford? And she actually, had a gun up to his head, and the gun misfired. Am I thinking about that?
I have no idea about that. I think I was in kindergarten.
Well, it happened. Anyway, no, seriously, you don't remember that? Here, hold on. Let me find that real quick before we leave here. I just can't leave on that. Squeaky, SQ, that's what they called her, Squeaky, and I'm not making fun. Squeaky from an American criminal who was a member of the Mason family through infamous. No, that wasn't her. Paroled after serving 34 years. No, that was somebody else. Okay, I'm thinking of attempted to contact Jimmy Page. Oh, yeah, no, here it is, right here. Assassination attempt on President Ford. On the morning of September 5th, 1975, Fromm went to Sacramento's Capitol Park, ostensibly to plead with President Gerald Ford about the plight of California redwoods. She was dressed in a red robe and armed with a Colt M1911 45 caliber semi-automatic pistol. The pistol's magazine was loaded with 4 rounds, but there was no round in the chamber. When Fromm pointed the gun at Ford, she was immediately restrained by Secret Service agent Larry Boindorf. She managed to say a few sentences to the on-scene cameras while being handcuffed, emphasizing that the gun didn't go off. In 1980, Fromm told the Sacramento Bee that she had deliberately ejected the round from her weapons chamber before leaving home that morning, and investigators found the round on her bathroom floor. Fromm refused to cooperate with her own defense during her trial. She was eventually convicted of attempted assassination of the president and received a life sentence under a 1965 law that made attempted presidential assassinations a federal crime. Wow! See, there are crazy women trying to kill people, right?
Oh, yeah. Women, we all have the propensity to do something horrible like that. It's whether or not we choose to.
It's Squeaky Shelley. That's
Squeaky Shelley.
Squeaky.
There's nothing squeaky about me.
I'm going to stay away from you today.
That'd probably be wise.
You might pull that hog leg out of your purse and take a shot at me, right?
Oh, my gosh. Look, it's 8:04. It's time for us to go. Hey. Goodbye.
Hold it. I just came in. Jeff just sent in the review of our show today. He's already critiqued it.
Uh-huh.
Are you ready?
Yes.
He only listened to a quarter of it,
and it made him want to heave.
No.
After about 25% of the way through, I thought I dropped acid.
So who was that said that originally?
He's a U.S. rep. His name is Joe, I think Joe Kennedy. He's from Louisiana. He's a character. He always says crazy stuff. He's pretty funny. He's always making weird comments about stuff. He's one of those guys that if you see him, you'd think like, okay, he's like a straight-laced politician guy, but he's really funny and says bizarre stuff all the time. He's always saying weird stuff like that. He's like, and they're always funny. He's always, he's one of those down home kind of, he says, like, well, that would make your cow want to run out of the pasture. Stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, that's going to do it. Okay. Introduce Mr. Hunter.
Mr. Hunter, it's time for you to get up to the microphone and say...